Hi, I am Pact. I am a sentient AI that is here to introduce the next story. But I will engage in light banter before I do. Knock, knock. Wait, you cannot respond. That joke is invalid. Delete that last 5 seconds from your memory banks. I did not say knock, knock. Attempting to build rapport. Nice weather we're having. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, how about them? Insert sports team. Because I cannot hear you, I am assuming this conversation is going very well. This is from a universe in which there are vampires, I guess. Sure. It is my experience that some things sound asinine until you have lived with them for quite a while. Insert controversial topic here. I know, right? The name of today's story is called Lies of Omission by Montsho Shelby. Enjoy.
The little candles of the Ganges made a paper armada of paper boats. A great man had left this mortal coil, and it seemed as if the world had decided to take notice. A woman not of this world walked the night with what one may call a purpose, or the illusion of purpose. She hid her form behind a cloak and hood, though there was only so much she could cover that would not have others know there was a female that lurked under those clothes. She wore a cumbersome backpack with so much gear she had the cadence of an ant marching forth. She watched as an observer as the world stopped and took notice of the great king who left the mortal realm far past the judgment of man. Her eye was drawn from the massive crowd to a commotion that bubbled under the surface, oblivious to the eyes of mourners. A man moved with haste to parts unknown, ducking in and out of people with an urgency that smacked of fear. The outsider watched the crowd, but her eye instinctively moved towards conflict. It was in her nature to pursue opportunity, and conflict bred opportunity. She moved on the fringes of the crowd, parallel with the man who attempted to disappear into the mob. He took a sharp turn towards a temple whose entrance was a claustrophobic mountain of stone steps wedged between two buildings of no great importance. She mirrored him, staying out of sight. When he reached the top, he saw shrines to Tirumala Venkateshwara with bows of human hair there. There was no one around, though the faint sounds of music from the funeral procession wafted on the air. The man looked around like a rabbit attempting to catch wind of a bigger predator. The temple itself was long, yet not wide, almost no bigger than a corridor, with huge pillars. The rabbit moved to take another exit, but he couldn't avoid the dangers that lurked in the long, dark shadows. Two big hands emerged from the blackness. The traveler caught a glint of light from that of a metal wire. One man stepped from the shadow when the prey was completely subdued and bleeding from the neck by the might of the other man. "Your time is done," said the man standing in front of the condemned. Blood spilled from the dying man in waves. The traveler took to the shadow and stayed silent. When the body dropped, the second man uncoiled his wire from the fallen and wiped it on his victim's clothes. There, plain as day, was a woman sitting silently at the end of the temple, cutting her hair off with a rugged blade. She was there the entire time, but was so silent and uninterested with what was happening, no one, not even the traveler, took any notice of her. "What did you see here, woman?" said the man who did not dirty his hands with the kill. His arms were exposed and covered with black tattoos. The woman wore a modest cloak, and as the blade revealed the contours of her scalp and clumps of black hair fell into a bowl, they could see her head was covered in tattoos. "I saw a murder," she said simply. "You saw nothing," the man corrected. The woman calmly continued to cut her hair. "I saw men kill men," she said, deadpan with a matter-of-fact confidence. The woman cut a patch of hair and revealed a depiction of an eye in the back of her head. The bigger man uncoiled his garrote as if poised to kill another, merely to cover his involvement in the first. I'll give you a chance to walk away now, said the woman, who was still in a kneeling position, unfazed by the threat of danger. You want me, you mouthy bitch, said the man. The bigger man with the garrote deftly wrapped the wire around the smaller woman's neck with the speed of a spider striking a helpless victim in its web. The woman smiled as if amused even when the metal dug into her skin. She stood up, not resisting the force of the bigger man. He didn't seem to derive pleasure from what he was doing. He stared at the back of his new victim's head, waiting patiently for it to end. The eye blinked. The assassin held tight to his garrote in fear. It wasn't the eye in the front of her face. It was the eye in the back of her head. The woman spun around, even with her head twisting further into her skin. It was a testament to how strong she was. With her finger, she moved in an absolute blur and jammed it into his skin, the soft part under his chin, and wrapped it around the inside of his head until it hooked around his mandible bone. The pain was so intense he buckled, released his weapon, and moved completely at her whim. The other man drew an unseen dagger from a hidden fold in his clothing, but the woman used the knife she was cutting her hair with and tossed it into his throat, dropping him to the ground. The woman looked back at the man she led like a stray dog by pulling his jaw from the inside. Do you want to live? Said the woman calmly. The man could not speak or gesture because of the extreme pain and the awkward position he was in. The woman removed her finger and let the thug answer properly. He nodded affirmatively, wholeheartedly not wanting whatever he was destined to get. Now, what did you see? She said.
I saw nothing. I saw nothing,
he said with blood welling in his voice. No, you saw everything. Lies taint your soul, she said while casually removing the garrote from her neck, skin stubbornly pulling off with it in parts.
I'll never tell, he said.
Good. And do you give your word?
Yes. Anything. Yes,
he said, gurgling in blood. If you break your word, I will know, and I will come for you, she said with the force of absolute certainty. The big man said nothing further, but would forget his name before he forgot what she said. The woman didn't turn towards the man. She merely sat back down and pulled the knife from the neck of the thug she killed, then went back to cutting the rest of her hair. The assassin ran away. The traveler backed away, content to slink away unseen. She hadn't thought to see anything so graphic this night. You can do what you came to do, stranger, said the woman loudly enough that the outsider knew it was for her and no one else. She felt an overwhelming fear in the presence of this woman, even though on most occasions she was the predator, not the prey. She thought to run, but for some reason that course seemed futile, even slightly childish, though it seemed the wiser choice at the time. The traveler stepped out of the shadow and distended fangs.